Where'll you be going?
Texas?
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Go on, make it happen.
And now here's Steve and Michelle.
It's Michelle here. Welcome back to Mallet and Michelle. We're officially hit that time of year where stepping outside feels like an oven. It's not global warming, folks. It's a Texas summer.
That's a
Texas
spring. Summer through and through. Yeah, if this is your first year here, buckle up because it's going to get hot.
Hi, Steve.
Hey, Michelle, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
How was your Mother's Day?
It was very lonely. I did not have any children around me.
Oh.
But I went to Matt's El Rancho the day before with my son, and I was with my daughter. I had to leave for her last week. Oh, I saw Dennis Quaid at Matt's El Rancho.
Yeah, you showed me a picture. Yeah, I'm sure he didn't mind that.
No. I know. It was. He asked for my autograph. It was.
Yeah. I saw something interesting the other day. Your granddaughter's name is Navy.
Yes.
For all of our
Yes.
loyal listeners, they know that. Do you know what the two most common names have been in the last 4 years in the United States?
Oh.
According to the Social Security Administration?
Something. McKenna?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Ashley?
Nope.
Oh, what is it?
These are the two most common new names in the last 4 years. Olivia and Liam.
Oh.
I mean, they're great names,
Yeah.
right? But I was like, I don't know who's naming their kids that right now. Apparently, somebody told me the other day the most common names in the whole world are Muhammad and Maria. Those are the two most common names. And Steve. Yeah, that's right.
And Steve.
Hey, we got to thank our sponsors. Couldn't do the show without all these wonderful sponsors.
Jovi Belterra.
If you want to be in a 55-plus community, you got to go talk to Marilyn over there. She'll set you up.
That's right. How about South Star Bank, Steve?
Love those guys. We had that networking party there last week.
Oh, yeah.
That was so fun. They're awesome. What a great community.
The caterer, Dana, which we love.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to give Dana a plug-in.
Yeah.
And then we got the little old real estate team, Mallet Integrity Team
And
Real Estate.
I had a note here that I can't read. So, sell your real estate and get free counseling. All on Mallet Integrity Team. It's that kind of market, isn't it? It's like everybody needs a little hug now and then. It's been tough.
Everybody needs a little hug sometimes.
Yeah. Hey, our guest today, Alice Hutchison.
She is a cool cat.
She's an author in ninth grade.
I know.
She's already published a book in ninth grade. So I'm looking forward to getting her on.
I'm working on my book, too. I am.
Shit Steve says?
Yeah, shit Steve says.
Yeah, right. I wanted to give a shout out to the Dripping Springs Art League.
Oh, you guys had a great time this weekend.
And it was awesome. Yeah. I think they're going to do it. They're going to take a break from over the summer because it's too hot, but they're going to start doing these art markets on a regular basis. And they have vendors set up, and then they have artists will actually do their art right there at the Triangle here in Dripping Springs.
We are sponsors of one of the sponsors.
Yeah, both Mallet and Michelle and Dripping Springs Elite.
Yes.
So, but the Friedmans who have been on our podcast are wonderful people, and they set that all up. We got to watch stained glass being made, and then there was a guy that does metal art, and he was getting set up for that right before we left. But it was really fun. So next time you get a chance to go, you have to head out there.
Well,
I think we spent about $300.
I will have to volunteer. It took me 5 hours to drive back from Dallas. It was awful.
I hate going to Dallas. That is the worst drive.
Well, I've been to Dallas back and forth 2 times within the last week. So, yeah, that was been fun. Yeah.
And it was kind of an emergency.
Yeah, so.
Have you heard about this new community that's being planned up in the
Dallas?
Northeast of Plano? Mm-hmm. It's called Epic City.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
It's been in the news quite a bit. Yeah, and it's called the Epic City, and Epic stands for the East Plano Islamic Center. That's what the developer has named it. It's proposed in Collin County, east of Plano. And the project stirred up some controversy amongst supporters and critics. So the plan is to build 1,000 homes, a K-12 faith-based school, a mosque, apartments, shops, and a community college. So critics who have included John Cornyn, Governor Abbott, and Ken Paxton have said the community will never see the light of day, and that the community will discriminate against anyone that is not Muslim. So that
goes against the fair housing laws,
well, it
right?
does, yeah. There are some unconfirmed reports that the community plans to follow Sharia law. I haven't seen.
I've heard that too.
News. I looked in the news, and it doesn't mean it's not true, but I could not find any reports that anybody representing the developer and the people backing this said that would be the case.
Oh, well, are they going to say it out in the open?
Well, I don't know.
Just...
Who knows? But supporters say that the project, they have no plans to discriminate, and that the objections are no more than tired Islamophobia, and they're not going to be breaking any laws. So, but Ken Paxton's launched an investigation, and Governor Abbott said the proposed community will never see the light of day. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens up there. I think this has actually happened in other states where they have communities and they do have Sharia law. I think Michigan is one of those places. So
do not enter sections. Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of interesting to follow that. You're right. You can't build a community and then only allow certain people that follow certain rules to live there. It has to be open to anybody. So even if they will allow everybody to live in there, are they really going to be welcome when you get down to it?
Yeah,
so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But right now, the developer is saying is none of the things that are in the news are true, and that they're refuting everything. So
I'm sure they are. Speaking of at different areas, you have gone to a lot of national parks around. And I know you don't have TikTok, but you also have social media, but you're not really on social media anymore.
I've avoided TikTok like the plague.
These national parks have basically gone feral, and I'm here for it. Let me tell you, Yellowstone, Alaska, Yosemite, Joshua Tree, Mount Hood, their social media have been taken over by this marketing creative genius. And the surge in interest is helping what they say the younger Coachella crowd connect with nature. But the content is this. It's basically thirst traps, Justin Timberlake dances, beefcakes, rap songs, guys with tats and no shirts, hot girl walks, and what I packed for Yellowstone. But what it has done, it's pretty... Headache. 1.5 billion views over the last couple of weeks and climbing.
But is that good for national parks?
It's bringing awareness. The critics say it's potentially, or also some of the park rangers and longtime nature lovers are concerned with the Disneyfication of protected land and photo ops for TikTok dances. But some of the funny things I saw was, why is my mom interested in a family vacay to the mountains all of a sudden? And when funding is cut, but Yellowstone has got bills to pay.
Oh my God.
So I think that the thing is what they're doing, it's actually really creative. It's really funny. A lot of things. It's like one of them, there's this guy, he takes his shirt off and he takes an axe and he breaks apart a log. And then right when he hits it, it goes to like a creek in Yellowstone. I don't know. It's whatever they're doing is working. I think nature's never looked so aesthetically pleasing in some sense, but it has really brought the younger crowd. Think about it, because the younger
I'm very
Gen
mixed
Z,
here right now.
The Gen Z crowd is all about the clicks and the likes and the Grease and the Turks and Caicos and whatever is the latest fad. To be able to pull awareness back to nature and to unplug, they may be going about it in a weird way, but maybe it's bringing some awareness to
a couple things. One of the reasons all those national parks are so cool is because you can get back to nature. You can get out there. We were in the Grand Canyon a couple weeks ago. If you go out down into the bottom of the Grand Canyon, there's nobody standing in a bathing suit on the edge of the river with a tripod taking selfies of themselves, influencers. And if the kind of people that these videos will be attracting are those people that are going to stand on the edge of the Grand Canyon or on the top of in Yosemite, the big waterfall, and take a picture where they're almost going to fall off and kill themselves.
And then a bear comes and eats them.
Yeah, right. But so, some of these parks are very crowded already. And I'm not sure that adding more people there is going to make that a better experience for the people that are going.
But you know what? Yeah. It's giving some awareness, which, you can't, maybe they'll donate.
Okay, well, they'll public service announcement. If you're going to go to a national park, take some selfies, but don't become a social media expert in a national park. Let everybody else enjoy nature. We were at a park in Austin recently, and this guy came down the trail blasting music on his iPhone. It's like, you ever heard of AirPods, man? But there's people that are out there, they think that, that's what you can do in nature. No, let everybody else enjoy it too.
They're there to listen to the sounds of nature.
That's right. Enjoy the peace and the quiet.
Yeah.
And, that's what nature is being in nature is really all about. Have you used ChatGPT yet today?
Yeah, I did this morning.
Yeah. We use it quite a bit in our business, don't we?
It has cut down on some of the, I said mundane, like thinking aspects of it, but I still...
You made my point.
Yeah, but I mean, I still do my own research, Yeah. I mean, there's a lot I feel like I'm not... I have a story
that I've written here, and it's called, Is AI Making Us Stupid? And there's actually quite a bit of evidence.
I am stupid.
There's quite a bit of evidence right now that people are relying so much on ChatGPT or any kind of AI that it is actually taking away our ability to think for ourselves. So here's a couple of statistics for you. 70% of faculty that were surveyed, so teachers and professors, say that they have witnessed or found evidence that 70% of their students are using AI to cheat on their assignments. Yeah. 45% of the students that they surveyed admitted to using AI, and 25% said, I've used it during tests, and 80% say that they have used it to help save time or boost their grades.
But can't they, I guess when they're copy and pasting, they can figure out, there's programs that they can figure out, right?
That's kind of where my story is going to end up, is that now faculties are starting to use these tools where they can identify, they're called AI-powered plagiarism detection software. So you can take somebody's project that they worked on that they submitted to you and plug it into this plagiarism detection software, and it will tell you if that person wrote it or if it was generated by AI.
I heard that some of them aren't really real accurate though, but one of the things that they were saying that they can tell if somebody wrote you a text message and it has a dash in it, they said, oh, that's one of the telltale signs of being ChatGPT, but I have seen that too. But I use dashes all the time. And
but you'll say like, "Hi, Steve, dash." Right? This is, I've noticed it too when I've used it. Somebody will send me a long email and I'll put it in ChatGPT and say, "Summarize this for me," and it will do, it will do a dash between two, like. Pro forma. It'll do pro dash forma. It'll put them in there where you wouldn't normally use them. So, but I think it's interesting. They're saying that students are actually the ability for them to think for themselves and be creative in their writing and the projects that they work on is starting to go away, and it could cause us some problems in the future.
I can tell you that when I was in high school, if ChatGPT was around and it could do my algebra homework, I would have been all over that. Because do I use algebra today? No.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I know. Yeah. But. It's sort of like when we were in school and the teacher would say, okay, I need you to figure out this math problem. And you would, when I was growing up, that was when calculators first came on. I go, well, I could do that on a calculator. Like, well, yes, you can, but I want you to know how it's done so that you can work through the process if you don't have a calculator. It's kind of like, what if there's something happens and you don't have ChatGPT to rely on and you have to send your boss a very important email?
You don't know how to do it.
Yeah, you don't know how to do it.
I've always had a love of creative writing, and so I feel like
you're very good at that.
Because I'm just a smart aleck.
And ChatGPT will never be able to duplicate that.
No, I don't think so. But it's also like almost like the therapeutic process. If you're writing something down, just working your way through the story. I think it's funnier. If it comes from my version versus a computer version.
It definitely does. I bet you if you wrote something real, like if I wrote something real dry and plain and I gave it to you and you rewrote it in your style, it would be so much more entertaining than if I plugged it into ChatGPT and said, make this fun and interesting.
Yeah.
What would come out of ChatGPT would, it
Stale.
wouldn't be, yeah,
Maybe
it'd be kind of stale, but yours would be, real interesting and fun. So anyway, that's something to keep in mind here as we go into the future, that just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should do something.
Absolutely.
It is important to, especially if you want to get into a business where you have to write and do reports and things, that you know how to do those yourself and not rely on AI. So
I wanted to ask you, I asked you to do some research on this because I've been seeing the rumblings about it, and we're getting into the retirement kind of age. It's like on the horizon. And property taxes. And I think you have until Friday to protest your property taxes right now?
Yeah, it'll actually be it'll be before when this episode comes out. For those of us on
Instagram Live.
Those of you on Instagram Live, you have until Friday to protest your property taxes.
So Florida is coming out with this proposal to do away somewhat with property taxes.
Yeah.
And they were saying that the biggest cuts could be in schools and police and so on and so on. And you and I were talking about that. It's like, well, where is that money going to come from? And I was like, sales tax. But what did you find out about this? What exactly
So the
is going
story
on?
is Governor DeSantis in Florida has he's brought about a plan to possibly do away with property tax completely in the state of Florida. So he talked about this in February. It was either February or early March. And since then, he's actually backed off of it. I guess they did some more analysis of it and found out that it probably wouldn't work in the long run. But one of the biggest things that, DOGE, which has looked at our federal government and has found literally billions and billions and billions of dollars of fraud and waste. Well, DeSantis is saying the same thing about Florida, that there are lots of the taxing entities that have massive amounts of fraud. Their budgets always go up. They're always increasing. And he's saying, instead of you guys always saying we need a tax increase, how about you get your fiscal house in responsibility or fiscal house in order and stop spending as much? And
What a novel idea.
You know what? I think as taxpayers, isn't that what everybody wants? Is just use our money in the most economical way. If you have three people doing a job, could two people do that and you cut one of those positions? Or, instead of expanding a program every year, year after year, have you ever heard somebody that works in a state or local government that says, got to spend our budget or else next year they'll take it away? That should be done away with completely.
Yeah.
That is maddening to me. You're going to spend money just so that they continue to give it to you next year. And that happens from the federal government right on down to the city. And in every layer. So, but anyway, Governor DeSantis has pulled back on this, and now he's pushing for something similar to what's been going on in Texas, which is a reduction in the overall property taxes. He's come up with. The last thing I read was he's hoping to save people $1,000 a year on their property taxes, but I don't believe in Florida their property taxes are as high as they are for us here in Texas. So that $1,000 may be percentage-wise a substantial reduction.
It definitely is going to cut into your retirement budget when you're looking at you own your home outright. And now
that
you're
was one of the
paying.
first things he said is, do you really own your home if you pay off the mortgage and every year you have to pay another bill or else the state will come and take your house or the county will come and take your house? You don't really own it. You're just renting it from the government at that point. I think that's really true. So the original plan he had was, when you close on your house, you pay some kind of a sales tax, transaction tax.
And maybe all your homesteads, but then like investment properties are different. So I could see investment properties, commercial properties, you're still paying property taxes, but your homestead.
My biggest takeaway about all this is that we are, as a country, we are finally starting to look at the fact that all of these taxing entities take this money from us and do God knows what with it every year. It's like there doesn't seem to be any accountability. So now we need to start looking at that, holding those entities holding their feet to the fire and making them spend our money in the most efficient way, because the trajectory that we're on is not sustainable. If Texas keeps raising property taxes the way they've been raising, people will have to start selling and moving out. That's not good for Texas.
And like half of our clients are moving to Arkansas. And I don't want to go to Arkansas,
and
Governor
you know
Abbott.
And there's a perfect example. Somebody that had $13,000 a year in property tax here in Texas moved to Arkansas, and they're into a bigger home on a lake, and their property tax is $1,600 a year.
Don't make me move to Arkansas.
Don't make me move to Arkansas.
Don't, please. You know what season it is right now? Not like the weather.
Allergy season.
No, it's not. It's graduation season. It's empty nest season for a lot of people. And a lot of people are going to start experiencing this. I think graduation is next Friday, right before Memorial Day. So traffic is going to get really nice in the middle of downtown.
For about 3 months. Can't wait.
But I ran across something, Steve, and I thought this was, I don't know, it really touched my heart about getting older. And it was this guy talking about, what if 80-year-old self came back to now, to where you are now, even though it's, 20 years away, or for you, maybe next week, but right around the corner. And what would your 80...
You young whippersnapper.
Get off my lawn. What would the 80-year-old self say to you? And so I had this like little poem I wanted to read, but then there were some questions that I had for you, like really kind of eye-opening. Sometimes I already feel old, not in my bones, though they creak more than they used to, but in the silence of the house. The kids are grown, married, living their big, beautiful lives. I'm proud, of course, so proud, but some days I walk past their empty rooms and wonder where all that noise went, where all I went.
Yeah.
I'm still needed, just in different ways now. That was proof last week. Yeah. And I'm still working, still dreaming, I guess. But lately I've been asking myself, what if I could fast forward 20 more years and come back for a day? What would my 80-something-year-old self say to me now in this strange, quiet middle? It was an interesting, like the quiet middle.
Yeah.
Honey, you think this is old? Wait till your knees sound like bubble wrap. You're not old. You're just a little weathered, like the porch swing we couldn't bear to throw out. She'll remind me that there's still magic in becoming, that just because the house is quiet doesn't mean the story is over. In fact, she's probably saying the best chapters are still ahead, the ones where I travel just because I can, fall in love again with the same man, or maybe even a new version of myself. Sleep in or stay up late, dance barefoot in the kitchen with a grandbaby on my hip. And before she left, she'd tuck a strand of silver hair behind her ear and whisper, "You'll miss this version of yourself too, so live her well, because what a difference 20 years could make."
Wow.
So here's some general reflections, right, about, this is kind of for both of us.
Okay.
Do you still wait for permission to rest, or have you finally claimed it? Remember when we were younger, we thought rest was a sign of weakness?
Isn't that true? Like, I got to be at the office I got to beat everybody into the office. I got to be there at 6, and I'm going to be the last one to leave. And yeah, you wore that as a badge of honor. Now I'm like, I'm going home.
But if you take a nap, are you like, okay, that's me recharging, or is that me feeling lazy?
I never, I don't know when that happened, but I never feel like that's a waste of time. I feel like that's my body saying, dude, you need to get some sleep.
I always felt like, especially when the kids were younger, if I had to take a nap in the middle of the day, I had to either have the dishwasher, the washing machine, something going, because it was like, even though I was resting, something in the house couldn't rest. Okay, this was an important one. Are you living or just maintaining? Gosh, I think I'm at the point in my life where I'm living.
I think that's true.
I think while you're raising kids, right?
I think it's kind of a mix, though, too. Because there are days where I wake up in the morning and I'm going 100 miles an hour until the minute I put my head down. And like Holly and I ask each other every night when she comes home or I come home, did anything good happen to you today? And some days I struggle. Yes, there's a lot of things that happen. None of them are monumental. Did I just check that day off my list? Did anything really fantastic happen? No. But then I have other days where I wake up and I go, man, at the end of the day,
that was a good day.
That was one for the record books. All these wonderful things happen. So it's kind of a mix for me.
This one really kind of stopped me in my tracks, this question. Have you forgiven yourself yet for not knowing back then what you know now? Think about that. That is, wow, right? Like,
I don't struggle with that. I know that, and I made some big, big mistakes in my life, but those are that's just part of living, is that you do things well and you do things real crappy. And, That's just part of life.
Raising kids, I would tell my daughter, especially, I was like, I've been a 13-year-old girl, but I've never raised a 13-year-old girl. I'm literally making this up as I go along. I'm making this up. Yeah. So here was one like gender specific. Like if I were to ask myself, have you stopped shrinking yourself to make everyone else feel more comfortable?
Oh, you don't have any problem with that at all. In fact, Michelle is a giant in that regard.
Like, no.
Yeah. You know, I would say looking back now that I'm a little older, when I hear people, I think it was Carlisle turned 40 recently? Somebody turned 40 and they said, oh, you know, this is a big one for me. I'm really getting old. And I thought, you're going into the best years of your life. It's like your kids are going to start to be more independent. Maybe they'll go off to college. You'll have more time for yourself. You still have a lot of energy and a lot of enthusiasm for life. The 40s and 50s are good.
It is good. How about this one, Steve? This was to you specifically. Are you still chasing success, or have you figured out what peace feels like?
Oh, boy, that's a good one, Michelle. I still chase something. I don't know exactly what it is. I see people that have more than what I have, and what I see now that I didn't see when I was younger is all of the crap that comes with, you know, the big fancy house on the lake. Yeah, that's wonderful when you go there for a party and it's all beautiful and clean. But what you don't see in the background is the $50,000 a year in property taxes and the $1,000 a month you pay to take care of the lawn or have it cleaned, or, you know, the $2,000 a year electric bill. All those things are
more money, more problems.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I see that. The other thing that I have realized, no matter how old you are, inside your head, you still feel young.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
The only time I don't feel young is when I look at myself in the mirror. In my head right now, I'm still the same 20-year-old kid full of, you know, energy and enthusiasm and
piss
life.
And vinegar?
Yeah, but when I see myself, I go, okay, there's a little more wear and tear there now than there used to be. But I don't care how old you get. I think you still feel like you can do it all.
I was on the floor with my grandbaby the other day, and I tried to get up just like I would when I was 20-something years old. And I had her mama, and I was like, this has proved to be a little bit more difficult than I remember.
Can I get a hand, please?
Speaking of, one of the other questions I had was, do you remember to keep loving your body even as it has changed? And you and I had this conversation with this yesterday. It's like the men and women have different perspectives about this. Your feeling was that women, for the most part, and I don't know if I agree with this 100%, but that women care more about what other people think. But I don't know. I mean,
I didn't necessarily mean that. I mean, you guys are more focused on appearance, maybe even what you think of your appearance. Well,
think because of what is just shoved down your throat by commercials and media and you know, whatever else. But like the female body goes through so many changes, especially if you're a mother. Yeah. And your body changes in ways that you could never, ever comprehend. Sure. I mean, I had this discussion with somebody who had a dog and thought having a dog is the same thing as having a child. It's not. I'm sorry. You know, you can leave your dog and go to the grocery store for 3 hours, but you can't leave your child at home and go to the grocery store. But I feel like you know, women, we struggle more because I think our bodies go through a lot more changes than men do. Hormonally, childbirth, whatever.
I'll agree with that. What I was trying, and I probably didn't say it very articulately, but I think women focus on the beauty that they have and how that could be in their mind fading, which is funny because men don't see that in women as much as women see that themselves. I think for men, though, we don't focus so much on how our bodies are changing so that they're not as attractive as they used to be. We focus more on, I used to be able to lift that.
The physical aspect
without hurting my back. I used to be able to climb up on a ladder, no problem, and walk around on the roof of the house. Now I'm a little unsteady. Or I used to be able to go run 50 miles, and now that takes me 4 hours longer than it used to. We focus more on how our body breaks down and doesn't allow us to do the things that we have enjoyed in our life. So, and the other thing I'll say about that is, and Chuck Lamont told me this, as you age, you know your body's breaking down and you expect it, but it's worse than you expect. It's like damn, I thought my knees hurt before, but they hurt worse now.
Yeah, trust.
It keeps getting worse and worse and worse, and you just have to keep adjusting.
You gotta keep figuring it out. Bourbon helps. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, here's my last question, and this was I thought this was a really good one. It was really, really good. Are you still afraid of being vulnerable, or did you finally learn to share what's really going on inside? And I think that even just me working for you for the last 10 years, you really have opened up more. And do you think that's more of age, or do you think it's experience? What do you think has allowed you to open?
I think it's a mix of all of that.
Or I just wear you down.
You wore me down. I think it's a mix of age. It's a mix of experience. It's a mix of, the stuff that fills your brain when you're younger starts to go away, and it gets filled with, you care, making sure the people that are around you, know that you care about them and that you love them and want the best for them. And I tell my kids, like every time I see them, how proud I am of them and that I love them. And I didn't do that as much when I was younger. So
I think for me, like, I've always kind of been this way. I don't know how else not to be, but the vulnerability is, especially around other people that I didn't know. I'm more comfortable in my own skin than I ever have been. And it really doesn't, I would say, I'm not going to say it doesn't bother me if somebody doesn't like me. It doesn't bother me as much, shall I say, because I also now I look at it from a different perspective. It's like, okay, well, what was that person's life experience to make them react to me like this? And that's how I've been trying, the older I've gotten, is to be less reactive and to try to understand, okay, that maybe that particular outburst or that whatever somebody directed at me or you and I, whether it was client or personal or whatever, it's like, okay, what was going on in their life that made them act like it was so out of character, for a certain person,
or it's really obvious that it wasn't something you did. It's something they're struggling with, and you're the outlet. You're the thing that they can take it out on.
Yeah.
I'm better about that. I'm like you for the most part. Like when people give us a bad review or somebody gets mad at us for something we did, that doesn't bother me as much as it used to, but occasionally there are some...
they can eat at you a little bit, right?
Yeah, we've had somebody that I have had the highest amount of respect for, and we've been involved in a dealing with him, and he went kind of off the deep end, and I pretty much have lost all respect, and that's been a little bit hard for me because I liked having that respect for that person. So... so sometimes it bothered me and sometimes
it was a hard week last week, wasn't it? There was a lot of people that I felt like, I don't know what was going on. Was it a full moon? Like there was just some weird stuff.
I know it was
happened.
like, it was almost exponential. It was like, okay, that happened and then that happened and then that happened. And then by the end of the week, I was like, that was like 2 months worth of difficult circumstances we had in 5 days.
Yeah, it was insane.
By the way, we handled every one of those like a champ.
Well,
we did really well through that whole week because there were a lot of obstacles, but we knocked them all out of the park.
Well, I just want to let you know that I made it to Dallas in rush hour traffic in 3 hours.
Oh,
in 3 hours. So yeah, my
and
poor daughter.
Everybody lived to tell the tale.
Everybody, well, almost. I was so exhausted. I was so exhausted.
There you go. There's an aging thing. When you were 25, you'd have been able to do that no problem. But now,
everything to happen on the same week where it was just piling up and piling up and piling up, and it's just so. Anyways, we made it through. Congratulations, Steve.
Yes, we did. Good job, Michelle. So, hey, we're going to take a little break and get Alice Hutchison in here, who is an author, published author, and hear all her thoughts on her 9th grade life and what she's got going on. So sit tight. We'll be right back. South Star Bank has remained true to its Texas roots for over 100 years. A commitment to the people and communities they serve, along with flexible financial solutions, allow their clients to shine. Mortgage loans, checking accounts, or complete business solutions. South Star Bank is your financial partner. South Star Bank, trusted by professionals, backed by tradition, built for Texas.
SouthStarBank.com, member FDIC, an equal housing lender, NMLS 410624. Find your joy at Jovi Belterra. Life is better here. This vibrant 55 and up community is located in Dripping Springs, just right outside of Austin. 1- and 2-bedroom homes, resort-style amenities, and just steps away from shops and restaurants. Forget the yard work. This is your time to relax, make new friends, and enjoy the life you've dreamed of. Find your joy at Jovi Belterra. Life is better here. Live JoviBelterra.com, 737-387-6870.
This show is brought to you in part by the Mallet Integrity Team, serving Dripping Springs, Austin, and the surrounding areas of Central Texas since 2004. When you need the best real estate advice and service, give them a call at 512-829-2062 or email them at malletintegrityteam.com. And now here's Steve and Michelle.
And we're back with Alice Hutchison, a ninth grader and an author. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's great to have you.
It's great to be here.
Oh, wonderful. Are you born and raised in Dripping Springs?
I was born in Dallas, but I was raised here.
Okay.
Yes.
How old were you when you moved from Dallas?
Just a few months old. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So we'll call you a native Dripping Springs.
Yeah.
And did I get that right? You're in ninth grade?
Yes.
Okay.
It's pretty impressive that you have already published your first book. That is crazy. And I was reading your bio, and you said that you have loved creative writing since you were very young. How did you get started on this process of writing this book?
So it was almost kind of like a dream. It came in, so I loved reading the Hunger Games books, and I read the Red Queen series. I don't know if y'all know what that is.
Yeah.
But that kind of, after reading those two, I kind of started merging them and realized, wait a second, this would actually be a really good idea. And I just kind of started writing. I didn't know if it would come to a book or finish as a book, but I thought, you know what, there's no harm in writing a little bit.
Were you already writing before this idea came to you? So,
yeah.
Do you remember the first time you sat down and wrote a story, or
yes.
How old were you?
So I was in 5th grade. I wrote this book, or I tried to, I didn't finish it, about this dog. And this dog had magical powers, and there were these people that were trying to come and capture the dog because it was worth a lot of money. And so I've written quite a few like that, but it's never finished.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's great. So that was 5th grade? Mm-hmm. Amazing. Wow.
I write stories about Steve all the time.
Yeah.
That's why we have a podcast now.
Yeah, she uses ChatGPT, which is cheating, by the way.
I don't use ChatGPT. I don't. So your mom, Melissa, is here.
Yes.
So do you have any other siblings? You have siblings?
Mm-hmm. I have 3 older siblings, a brother and a sister and another brother. So Danner, Audrey, and Logan.
Oh.
That's great.
I have a Logan, too.
So part of you deciding that you wanted to write this book and publish this book, who has been your biggest supporter in that?
Definitely my parents, for sure. They've always been super like, you can do it. Whether I'll do it or not is another thing.
Yeah.
But they've definitely always been like, go ahead, try. Like, there's no harm.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of kept going, and then it evolved into something.
Yeah.
I want you to walk me through the process of writing this book, from like actual writing it to the editing portion, and then just like the publishing aspect of it. Because that's insane that you're 9th grade, you've already published. And so tell us a little bit about that story of how that process went.
So I wrote it in December through January. So I wrote it in a full month. But I didn't actually, I wrote the first 5 or 10 chapters, and I realized this could go somewhere. Mm-hmm. So then I decided to I got a journal, I started planning it all out. Every 5 chapters, it would be the summary of what those chapters would be. And then I kind of knew the rough outline of where I wanted to start, how some plot twists, and then how I wanted it to end. But I didn't know the in-between. And so I went off that and just kind of started writing. I wrote the whole first manuscript within a month.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Who's your proofreader?
Myself and
really?
my mom.
Okay. Yeah.
My mom, for sure. She read all of it.
Having a good proofreader is invaluable.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you'll miss something, or you have an idea that's not quite finished, and somebody that reads that for the first time is like, oh, you got to come back to that.
Yeah.
How did the editing process go, or just even like, so you wrote the manuscript, right? And then, the proofreading / editing aspect. Did you self-publish this book?
Yes. So I wrote it all within a month. I took 4, maybe 5 months off, didn't touch it or tried my best not to. And then I came back to it. I had my mom read it or try to read some of it online. I tried to edit some of it online, but I realized it's just so hard to edit a full novel all on the computer. And so I started researching how I could actually publish this, how would I do it, what platform I would use, because I can't print a whole book.
Yeah.
And so I figured out Amazon has a program called like KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing, and I can print my own books and I don't have to publish through there.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah. So I ended up printing it, getting this full book, and then I ended up giving it to my mom and myself. So then we read it through like a normal book. We edited it on the paper with pen markers, like whatever we wanted to do to find, errors. And that took a really long time.
Yeah.
That took so long because it was just, I would be reading and I would read 3 sentences and then I'd be like, oh, there's another mistake. And then I'd be reading some more and another one. But it was definitely better doing it on a paperback than the laptop.
Michelle would be impressed with herself if she read this, let alone write it.
I actually
look at that. This is quite a big book.
I actually read books, Steve. I don't listen to books.
Yes, she does. She does. Yes.
I read them.
See Dick run.
That's right.
Jane.
Yeah, right. How did you get this book, or how did you get them in bookstores?
So bookstores don't buy books through Amazon because it's just, I don't exactly know why. Just no bookstores, no libraries, they don't buy from Amazon. But through Amazon, as an author, I can go ahead and I can buy copies for myself that is only like $1 more than the printing cost.
Okay.
And so I bought them all myself, and then I distributed them to the bookstores. So I emailed them.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And just kind of talk to
them.
And
is it more of the local bookstores right now that are like willing to carry books like this? You know, like I guess like the big, Random House or whatever, they have their agents. Yeah, they have their agents that'll push those kind of books out. But you're kind of a grassroots girl pushing this book on your. That's
how many bookstores do you think you have it in now?
I only have it, I know for a fact that I only have it in Book People in Austin, downtown, South Lamar.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I actually went up and saw it in the bookstore for the first time. It was amazing.
Have you had book signings yet?
I have not, no.
Well, you're going to have to sign this one for us if you can have this copy. Who did the cover art for it?
I did. I did it all through Canva.
You're kidding.
Yes.
Look at that.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's pretty. That's amazing, yeah. You have this this saying on the back, I prefer dangerous freedom over peaceful slavery. That's your writing. Mm-hmm. Tell me about that. How'd you come up with that?
So I had multiple kind of sentences that I thought, almost like a slogan, that I thought would be really, I needed something to hook the readers when they first look at it.
Yeah.
And so I figured I needed something harsh, but that also meant something to the plot. And so I realized there's a lot of, slavery isn't the right word, but there's a lot of laws and rules in this book that the spades or the
I was reading an excerpt from it,
Yeah, they didn't want to deal with the kingdom because they were rude to the kingdom and had all these laws and rules against them. And I figured I prefer dangerous freedom over peaceful slavery was like a good.
That was pretty
That captured my attention. That's a really good. I mean, if I was browsing through a bookstore and I saw that, I'd be like, that's intriguing. I want to know about that. So kudos to you.
Are any of your characters based on real people that you have, or just kind of loosely based?
All of them definitely have characteristics of the people I know. Like I know my sister is kind of
the evil stepsister? No.
Love my sister. But there's definitely characteristics in all of them. None of them are set like, oh yeah, this is definitely like Audrey. No, it's all just loose. But
when you develop these characters, I know some authors will sort of separate from the book. They will define their characters and their traits and what they do in their spirit. Like they'll write almost like a biography about them. Do you do anything like that?
I did. I didn't write a full biography. I mainly just did bullet points, but every page of my journal is filled with each character has like 2 pages.
Yeah.
I did like their height, weight, hair color, what they like to do, favorite things, like stuff like that.
You have to do that because otherwise then your characters start doing things that are out of character, right? Yeah, so you have to keep track of who they are. That's pretty cool. Is it stressful? Because this is you, right? This is your thoughts and things you think about the world. Is it a little bit stressful putting this out for people to read?
Yes and no. It is in a sense of like, wow, like people who truly think about this are going to be like, oh, that's like how she feels, kind of like, or whatever. But also it's just so, honestly, like it's kind of encrypted in a way because it's like these characters all feel different things. And so it's like, unless you knew me, you wouldn't know what character I relate with the most. And so it's kind of like, like my main character, that's not me. Which is different for most authors, because most authors are like, my main character.
They base it off of themselves.
Is that right? I didn't know that.
But that's not the case for mine. But.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little. It's you put yourself out there for criticism. Obviously, people like us are impressed with what you're doing, but this world these days can be mean, and people say so. There's a little bit of vulnerability there. So that's what I was asking you about. Is that. You have to say, it's like you're an artist, but as an author, and you put it out there and people give you their opinion on it. And I think that can be a little bit hard sometimes. So it's a great book, though. I read a couple of excerpts also, and it's very well written.
Thank you.
What do you think is the most surprising thing for you that you've learned through this whole process?
I don't really know about surprising, but patience was a hard struggle.
I'm horrid at that.
Yeah.
Can you give Michelle a class on that, please?
No,
I'm not worth.
My impatience is at the mastery level.
Oh, okay.
I've spent many years. Yes. Yeah, I've spent many years.
Give us the sort of Cliff Notes version of what the book is about. If we were at a bookstore and you were standing there and I picked it up and I said, "What is this about?" What would you say?
So it's about our main character, Autumn, Grace. She was raised by this family who wasn't her own. She never knew exactly what happened to her parents, just that they died at a really young age, or that she was really young. And then once she became a young adult, the queen dragged her into her castle and was like, hey, you're going to go on this quest with a few other girls. But at the time, spades is what they're called, are hated in you hide being a spade in this country because the kingdom hates them. The kingdom thinks that they cause all downfalls, they're cursed in a way. And so she was like, oh no, I'm going to die. This is not a good idea. But she made some really good friends. Autumn, Fallon, and Elvina were her friends. And then throughout this quest that the queen sent her on, she meets a few castle guards that are meant to, dispose of them, meant to make sure that they don't cause any trouble. But they slowly all become friends, therefore they don't end up doing anything to them. But the crown prince's brother comes in and is like, actually, what are y'all doing over here? Y'all are supposed to be down west. Why are you up south? What are you doing? Because they went off track a little bit. And basically, she's just trying to survive in a kingdom that hates her.
Oh,
and
wow.
And she has to manage both princes, both brothers of the heir, wanting her dead, but also in a love triangle, trying to figure out, oh, she's actually a really good person. I actually think I'm in love with her, but I meant to kill her.
Yeah.
So
a love triangle. There's some politics there, relationships. Yeah, this sounds like real life.
When you're trying to promote this book, I read that you have no social media.
Yeah.
At all. And is that by design? Is that a family choice? Or is that, eventually, in order to get your name out and to get these books out, you're going to at least maybe have to have some sort of presence on social media. So is it an age is it an age thing? What is it?
Yeah, my parents are very much like, we don't want social media to corrupt your life in a way.
Yes.
Like, just because, you know.
Yeah,
because it
it's
does.
not
It
great.
corrupts
Yeah,
your life.
exactly.
It's gross. Yeah, it's
Exactly.
a necessary evil, though. Sometimes, especially when you're marketing something.
Yeah, I wanted to save myself from all the negative, especially when it just came out.
Yeah.
But I recently just got Instagram, and so I'm going to start an author account and promote it that way, just because I need some way to promote it.
I'll prepare you. No matter how good you do something, somebody will say something mean to you. Just get very thick-skinned and don't let that bother you, and don't pay any attention to it, because that is not about you. That is about the person saying those mean things. So
That's the person sitting across from you with the microphone.
That's right. That's right. That's Michelle. Yeah, we've had some people. You know, we have lots of raving fans, and there's always like one person that just comes out of the woodwork and says the meanest, nastiest things. And
we actually use it as fuel now.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we usually highlight those. But we had one once that complained about me and like this 2 paragraphs of things that I said, and then right at the end, he said, "She seems pretty cool, though." Alice, who are your favorite authors? Who'd you grow up reading that are your favorites?
So this is gonna kind of sound bad, but I don't really know authors. I know the books that they publish, but I'm really bad with remembering their names. But
what
definitely,
about your favorite books then?
Yeah, definitely the Hunger Games series was for sure, and then Red Queens and a little bit of Throne of Glass from Sarah J. Maas.
Okay.
I honestly really like her writing. She was the first author that I looked at for looking at, and not like it from a reader's perspective, because the way she writes is amazing to me, and she wrote her first book at 16. She didn't publish it until she was 18, but she was definitely like, oh wow, she did this, I can do this too.
Yeah. Is that genre sort of sci-fi fantasy? Is that what you call it?
Yeah, it's sci-fi fantasy and a little bit of romance, but yeah.
Okay.
It's really interesting to me in the sense that you as an author, you know more about the book than you do. And so I guess that's probably true. You kind of want somebody to know about your work versus about who you are.
Yeah.
There's the whole controversy around J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter, but gosh, she's an amazing, amazing author. Yeah. And she kind of paved the way for that particular genre and, just created a whole bunch of young readers. Do you see yourself down the road creating, like what Steve was saying, raving fans where people can't wait for your next, sequel? I think it's The Rebel Queen, right? Mm-hmm. So that's in the works right now. Okay.
So that's the sequel to A Rebel Rising.
Yeah, it's going to be a trilogy. So, yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you've already, how far are you on that process?
I know I just finished chapter 15 of The Rebel Queen, but I'm hoping this summer I can sit down and really work through it because I'll have so much free time.
When you write, do you have a routine you go through? Do you write in the same place? Do you have you get up in the morning and have a cup of tea or whatever and go, or do you just kind of write as it hits you?
I just kind of write as it hits me. I realize the more I try to set myself a routine, the less I write, the worse I end up doing. And so I think the less planning I do in a way, the better I do writing it.
Yeah. Are you one of those writers that will just, as the thoughts come to you, you'll write it down and you'll do a couple pages and then you'll stop and go back and read it and change it?
No.
How do you do it?
So I originally tried doing that. The first book, I definitely was writing a chapter, then go back, look through it, decide if it's good enough. But I realized that's just burning myself out when I do that. And so this time I'm just writing. I just write until I realize I'm tired, and then after the whole book is finished, I'll go back and edit things out, change things, destroy chapters.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night and like, oh my gosh, I need to change this, or I have an idea for something like that? So are you sitting there writing in a burst where you're just piece of paper right by your bed? Oh, I got to write, about autumn and...
Yeah. I have a notes app. Yes. I'll just be sitting at like lunch with my family and I'll be like, wait, I have to do this. And then my parents are always like, get off your phone. And I'm like, hold please. Like I have to get this out.
Important. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about school. So 9th grade.
Yes.
So you grew up kind of through COVID, right? And how has school been? Do you enjoy school?
I enjoy school. I'm one of the strange kids that actually enjoys being at school.
Is that right?
Yeah.
What do you like about it?
I think I really like just knowing what I'm going to do and then knowing exactly what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it, when I'm going to do it. I like having the routine, which is completely different from everywhere else in my life. Like school and like my day-to-day, I like having a routine, but for writing, I can't.
Oh, yeah.
You thrive on the structure at school. Yeah.
But yeah.
What do you feel about the new high school that's coming? So probably by the time the high school's here, I know when they first start, they're going to have it as a freshman and sophomore campus. But probably by the time it's opened, I think you're going to be a senior, maybe a junior, senior. Let's just say senior. Do you see yourself moving? Are you guys zoned for the new school? No, you're not. Oh, so you'll stay at the old school.
Yeah, I'm totally for the new school though.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be great.
Are the class sizes, like all three of my kids graduated from Dripping Springs High School. His kids did also. Mine almost, how long ago did Kendall graduate? 7 years ago. Yeah, 7 years ago. Not that long ago, but yeah. Do you feel like the class sizes have gotten bigger and bigger? Is it just hard to concentrate with that many kids in your classes?
Yes.
And the passing periods?
Periods are, everybody always complains about the passing periods, and I get why. It's crowded. There's times where you can't move.
Well, you can't even probably go to the bathroom, or you're eating lunch at 10 o'clock in the morning,
What's a passing period?
Yeah.
It's like between first period and second period, you're passing the period.
We just called that the break between classes. I didn't know they had a full title for it. Do you feel like right now is an easy time to be growing up or a difficult time?
I think it's difficult. I think with all the rising technology and all the society changes, it's not a great time.
Yeah.
Not going to lie.
You think that your generation has it harder than previous generations? Like
I
our
do.
generation?
And I'm not trying to be one-sided or biased, but I definitely do believe that.
Why do you think that is?
I like that
because
opinion,
I feel like you guys have more opportunities than like when I was growing up in the 80s. I mean, we were just learning to use computers, and now you guys have so much access to so many things. I mean, when we had to research things, Steve and I had to go to an encyclopedia.
And we'd go to the library and pull out the encyclopedia for the letter E. And
right.
Flip through that and find out what it was.
But I also don't want to be that kind of person, that adult, where it's like, back in my day. But I'm curious as to what
back in my day.
But I'm curious as to why do you think it's much harder? Do you think it's just information overload, or what is it?
Well, yeah, I agree with you. We definitely have more opportunities, and everything's easier to hook up with people. Like you can email, text, whatever.
FaceTime.
But I think with everything with social media, just prolongs and throws out all the bad instead of the good, or the opposite of that. Or you look at everybody's life and you're like, oh my gosh, they're perfect. They're doing great. They're successful. There's no problems. When in reality, everybody has their problems.
That's very mature of you. I know adults in their 40s and 50s that have not figured that out. They're still chasing this lifestyle that they think exists, and everybody has problems. Everybody has issues in their life. And what you see on social media is very rarely anything like reality.
Yeah.
Isn't that the truth? They say the grass is always greener on the other side, but you still have to mow it.
Yeah, that's right. Alice, have you thought about what your life will look like as you finish high school and go off to college? And what do you want to do with your life?
I definitely have. Right now, I'm going through the health science pathways at the high school, so I'm going to graduate with my certified medical assistant.
Oh, wow.
Theoretically, I could graduate with physical therapy or pharmacy tech, but I think I'm going with my CMA. And then my plan is to just go through college, do something in the medical field. I don't exactly know what, but something along those lines. But my dream would be to own a lot of land out of college and have a homestead. Now, I don't know who's going to afford that, but...
Well, when you sell 1 million copies of your books.
That's
my dream. But,
That's right. I can tell you my middle one is in med school right now. You have no time for anything.
Exactly.
But med school, maybe you can write medical journals at some point. Maybe that's what you can. I have some rapid fire questions for you too that I wanted to get through. So, what is your favorite writing snack?
Ooh, probably. Oh, I don't know.
It can't
popcorn?
be Cheetos. Yeah, popcorn. I just made Stevie a popcorn earlier.
So your computer is a mess, is what I hear. Popcorn kernels stuck in the keyboard.
Popcorn or pretzels. Okay.
Yeah.
So are you a pen and notebook kind of writer or a laptop?
Yes, I am both.
You do both, really?
I plan everything out on paper because I definitely prefer paper, but I have to write the book on my laptop.
Yeah, it's easy to edit it as well. If your book became a movie, who would you want to play the lead? Have you ever thought about that?
I haven't. I don't really know actors, so I don't really know.
I love that you're just not like following the masses.
It
I love
seems like
it.
a lot of young people are really paying attention to pop culture, and you just don't even care. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, it is. It's out of the norm. And what are your college plans? Where do you want to go to school?
I really want to go to Texas Tech University. That's where both my parents went, and there's nothing out there, but I think it's a cute campus.
My oldest graduated from there and got his master's degree there, and he loved it.
Yeah.
He absolutely loved it. And he's been graduated for 4 or 5 years. He still lives up there. So there's, I think, right outside of Lubbock, there's not a lot going on, but Lubbock is actually a pretty cool town. You'd like it.
Tech has kind of become like the Dripping Springs high school, the next step, because there's a lot of tech.
It's a great school. It's a really nice campus. So... What you got any more rapid fires?
That was it. I was going to ask her favorite author, but she didn't. And she said what her favorite book was.
And one more. You're running cross country.
I am. Yes.
Do you think you'll continue that all through high school?
Yeah, that's like my plan right now for sure to continue it. It's such a great community.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. And that's a lifelong, I'm 62, I still run all the time. So it's a good lifelong sport. But.
If I'm running, you better run too, because
somebody's
chasing me, for sure.
Alice, it's been great to have you on. You're very articulate. You're obviously very smart, and I'm going to read your book. I love it. Thank you for bringing us a copy, and I wish you nothing but the best. I think you're going to go on and do great things.
Thank you.
I think so too. And then the next book that it comes out, we need to have you back on so we can promote that book as well.
So good luck with everything.
Thank
Alice.
you.
Find your joy at Jovi Belterra. Life is better here. This thoughtfully designed 55-plus community is paired with resort-style amenities and social activities. They offer 1- and 2-bedroom homes located in Dripping Springs, the gateway to the Hill Country. Make friends, make memories, make time for you at Jovi Belterra. Live JoviBelterra.com, 737-387-6870.
From rodeo clowns, teachers or doctors, and everyone in between, Texans have one thing in common: hard work deserves smart banking. At Southstar Bank, whether you're buying your first home, building a dream ranch, or just managing daily finances, our 16 branches across Central Texas are here for you. Southstar Bank, trusted by professionals, backed by tradition, and built for Texas. SouthstarBank.com, member FDIC, an equal housing lender, NMLS 410624.
This show is brought to you in part by the Mallet Integrity Team, serving Dripping Springs, Austin, and the surrounding areas of Central Texas since 2004. When you need the best real estate advice and service, give them a call at 512-829-2062 or email them at malletintegrityteam.com.
You know you like us, so go now to Apple Podcast or Spotify and leave us a review. Why don't ya? We love your feedback and comments. Email us at malletandmichelle@gmail.com.
Thanks for putting up with us.